I was never supposed to be the problem child. That title belonged to my older brother, Chase, the golden boy with the sharp jawline, the fitted suits, the fake charm, and somehow the kind of swagger that made people forget just how rotten he really was. We grew up in the kind of house that made people slow down when they drove past. Tall iron gates, a long circular driveway, stone lions flanking the entrance, like Dad wanted to make sure everyone knew he'd clawed his way into wealth and intended to stay at the top. And inside that kingdom, Chase acted like he already owned it. Like everything, every marble tile, every chandelier, every sleek black car in our garage was already tagged with his name. The firstborn, the heir. Meanwhile, I was the arty younger one, a daughter who preferred sketchbooks to social clubs, who'd show up to those fancy dinner parties wearing outfits my aunt called questionable, and who somehow never managed to impress anyone in the house except Dad. Dad got me. Really got me. Maybe that's why Chase always acted like he had something to prove, especially to me. Dad would look at my broken pottery attempts and say stuff like, "Kiddo, you built something from dust. That's more impressive than money." Chase hated that. Hated that Dad gave me quiet, honest praise instead of the loud, performative cheering he gave him. But everything changed the moment Dad got sick. It was fast. A blur. Hospital rooms that smelled like bleach and fear. Doctors who kept lowering their voices the way people do when they already know the ending but don't want to say it out loud. And when Dad passed, something inside our house cracked. Grief does that. It turns the air sharp and weird. But Chase, he didn't grieve like a normal person. He strutted. Suddenly, he was acting like he'd been crowned king, like he'd been waiting, itching for the throne to open up. And it was maybe a week after the funeral, while I was sitting at the kitchen island drinking cold coffee and trying to breathe through the numbness, when he made his first real jab. "So," he said, leaning back, sipping bourbon like some wannabe CEO, even though it was barely noon. "I'm guessing you won't make a fuss about Dad's business going to me." I blinked. "What? Come on, be serious," he smirked. That smug, punchable smirk. "You think Dad left the company to you? You can barely handle paying your credit card bill on time." I felt heat crawl up my neck. He wouldn't just... "Kiddo," he mocked Dad's nickname for me. My throat tightened. "Don't embarrass yourself. You know how inheritance works. Firstborn son takes the reins. You can keep the sentimental crap, your drawings, your little trinkets, whatever. But the house?" He grinned like it was already hanging over his mantle. "I'll need you out by summer. We're restructuring the board, and I want the place ready when I move in." My jaw actually dropped. Are you insane? You're kicking me out?" He shrugged like the conversation bored him. "Not kicking, transitioning. You'll get your portion, like, a couple $100,000 or whatever Dad left you. Probably enough for a condo in a less embarrassing zip code." I gripped the counter so hard my knuckles whitened. He wouldn't just... "Kiddo." He mocked Dad's nickname for me. My throat tightened. "Don't embarrass yourself. You know how inheritance works. Firstborn son takes the reins. You can keep the sentimental crap, your drawings, your little trinkets, whatever. But the house?" He grinned like it was already hanging over his mantle. "I'll need you out by summer. We're restructuring the board, and I want the place ready when I move in." My jaw actually dropped. Are you insane? You're kicking me out?" He shrugged like the conversation bored him. "Not kicking, transitioning. You'll get your portion, like, a couple $100,000 or whatever Dad left you. Probably enough for a condo in a less embarrassing zip code." I gripped the counter so hard my knuckles whitened. He wouldn't just...
Kiddo.
He mocked Dad's nickname for me. My throat tightened. Don't embarrass yourself. You know how inheritance works. Firstborn son takes the reins. You can keep this sentimental crap, your drawings, your little trinkets, whatever. But the house? He grinned like it was already hanging over his mantle. I'll need you out by summer. We're restructuring the board, and I want the place ready when I move in. My jaw actually dropped. Are you insane? You're kicking me out? He shrugged like the conversation bored him. Not kicking, transitioning. You'll get your portion, like, what, a couple $100,000 or whatever Dad left you? Probably enough for a condo in a less embarrassing zip code. I gripped the counter so hard my knuckles whitened. Dad wouldn't leave everything to you. He wouldn't. Chase gave a slow, pitying smile. You want to bet? That night, I cried in the shower until the water turned cold. I loved Dad. I loved him more than anything. I wasn't crying about the money. I didn't care about that. I just knew, with every bone in my body, that Dad wasn't the type of man to push out one child to lift the other. Chase was wrong. At least, I prayed he was. The will reading was set for Friday. Our family lawyer, Mr. Hawthorne, requested we meet at Dad's office, not the house. Neutral space, he said. Chase laughed when he heard that. Neutral? Please. Dad built that office for me. On Thursday night, one day before the will reading, Chase threw a pre-celebration dinner. At a Michelin star restaurant, of course. He invited half the board members, some old family friends, and even had the audacity to toast himself. To stepping into my father's shoes, he announced. Cameras flashed, people clapped. I wanted to sink into the floor. A woman I barely knew leaned over to me and whispered, "You must be so relieved Chase is taking on the responsibility. Not everyone is built for leadership, sweetheart." I almost choked on my drink, but I didn't say anything. I just let everyone believe whatever fairy tale Chase had spun. That night, back at home, I couldn't sleep. The mansion was too quiet, too hollow without Dad walking around humming old rock songs from his youth. I wandered into Dad's study, the place that always smelled like whiskey, cedar, and the faint scent of his cologne. His slippers were still under the chair like he'd be back any minute. I sat in his leather chair, pulled my knees up, and whispered, "Please don't let him take everything. Please don't make me lose home on top of losing you." I don't know if I expected an answer from the universe, but the silence felt heavy, like something was waiting, watching. Friday morning came too fast. When Chase and I arrived at the office, people were already lined up to greet him. Handshakes, smiles, all that fake corporate affection that smells like cologne and lies. We were escorted into the conference room. Large table, chrome edges, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. There was a picture of water, neatly arranged notepads, everything pristine as always. But something felt off. I could feel it in my chest. My heartbeat was all over the place. Chase, meanwhile, was practically vibrating with excitement. "Let's get this over with," he said, sitting at the head of the table, even though that spot belonged to Dad. Mr. Hawthorne entered with a thick file under his arm. He looked older than usual. He looked tired. He sat down, opened the folder, adjusted his glasses, and cleared his throat. "Before I begin, I need both of you to understand that your father made some unexpected decisions regarding his estate." Chase chuckled under his breath. "Unexpected? Yeah, right." Hawthorne ignored him. "Your father approached me 7 months ago, long before his diagnosis, to restructure his will. He insisted this version reflect not only his financial decisions, but his personal values." Chase leaned forward. Yeah, firstborn gets the company. We know." Hawthorne exhaled slowly. "Actually, no." My breath caught. Chase's smile froze. Hawthorne continued, "Your father left a letter that I'm instructed to read before anything else." He unfolded a single sheet of paper. My chest tightened. Dad's handwriting. God, I missed him. Hawthorne read, "To my children, I love you both more than I ever managed to say out loud. But love is not blind. I have watched you grow. I have watched you stumble. And I have watched who each of you becomes when you think no one is paying attention.
A person's true character is revealed not when they win, but when they believe they're entitled to win.
When the projector flickered to life, the room dropped into that eerie half-dark where every sound seems louder than it should be. The HVAC hummed, a pen rolled somewhere across the table, and my heart, it was pounding so hard I swear Chase could hear it. Dad appeared on the screen wearing one of his soft flannel shirts, sitting in his study, the same study I'd been crying in just the night before. His hair looked messier than usual, and there were tiredness lines around his eyes that I hadn't noticed when he was alive. He pressed his lips together before speaking, like he already knew this video would split our lives into before and after. "If you're watching this," Dad began, "it means I didn't get the chance to say this to you both face to face, and that kills me." I sniffed hard. Chase stayed standing at the back of the room, arms crossed, breathing loud and uneven. Dad continued, "This is not a message about money. It's not about revenge. It's about truth. And truth, in families like ours, families with wealth, reputation, influence, gets buried too easily." He paused, staring into the lens. "And Chase, you've buried a lot." Chase muttered, "This is bullshit," but his voice cracked. Dad sighed. 7 months ago, I learned something that shook me to my core. Something about the night of the Blackwell Gala. My breath caught. That gala had been a massive charity event Dad hosted every year. I remember going in a gold dress that didn't fit right and Chase ditching early to handle business. "You know exactly what you did," Dad said, voice low. "You siphoned $75,000 out of the foundation account and transferred it to a private card. Your card." My stomach dropped. Chase went pale. "That's a lie," Chase snapped. Dad must have been confused. He was sick. I wasn't sick then, and I wasn't confused." Dad's voice cut sharply through the speakers. Hawthorne didn't react. He'd clearly watched this video before. Dad leaned closer in the recording, eyes fierce. "You've stolen from this family before, Chase. Smaller amounts. Things I told myself were just growing pains, but stealing from a charity?" Dad shook his head, disgust all over his face. "I realized then that giving you the business as is would be signing its death certificate." My fingers curled into fists. Chase stood stiffly, jaw tight, staring at the screen like he could burn a hole into it. Dad continued, "But this isn't even the part that broke me. You didn't spend the money on the business, or the staff, or even some stupid investment." He looked devastated. "You spent it on her." "Her?" My brows shot up. Chase blinked fast, eyes darting between the screen and me. "No, don't bother playing dumb. You know exactly who I'm talking about." A name appeared on the screen behind Dad. A name that made my stomach twist. Sabrina Myers. My mouth fell open. No way," I whispered. Sabrina was... God, she was my best friend. Since sophomore year of college. The girl I shared hoodies with, cried to at 2 a.m., escaped family tension with. The girl who sat at Dad's funeral holding my hand so tight her nails dug into my skin. Chase? With her? Dad kept talking. "I knew you were sleeping with her. I knew before either of you realized I knew. You're sloppy, Chase. You always have been." Chase's face flushed a violent red. "You think I care who you sleep with?" Dad asked. "I care that you used money meant to help sick children to pay for your hotel rooms, your flights, your jewelry gifts, your little romantic hideaways." My stomach lurched. Chase opened his mouth to speak, but closed it again, clenching his teeth like he was trying not to break them. Dad sighed deeply. "The two of you betrayed my daughter, your sister. You betrayed the company. You betrayed the families who counted on that foundation." He drew in a long breath. "I couldn't let you inherit anything without consequences. I will not allow greed to fester in this family any longer." I felt something inside me twist sharply. Anger, heartbreak, disbelief, all of it crushing together. Sabrina, my brother, my money stolen from a children's medical foundation, all behind my back, all while she sat next to me pretending to love me like a sister. Dad continued, "If you want your shares of the business, Chase, you will complete a mandatory ethics rehabilitation program, repay every dollar you stole plus interest, and commit to a 3-year supervision term under the trust. During that time, your sister will hold full residential rights to the family home." He looked directly into the camera again. "And you will treat her with the respect she deserves,
or you will lose the business permanently." Chase let out a shaky laugh. "This is manipulation. I'm not being controlled from beyond the grave." Dad softened his voice. "I did this because I love you, son. But you need boundaries. You need to learn humility. You need to understand consequences." He looked tired again. "And to my daughter, you are stronger than you think you are. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from all of this while I was alive, but I hope this helps protect you afterwards." My throat tightened again. Dad exhaled. "I love you both. Goodbye." The screen cut to black. Silence dropped on the room like a weighted blanket. I stared straight ahead, because if I looked at Chase, I'd start screaming or crying or both. Hawthorne cleared his throat quietly. "If either of you have questions, I can—" "Where is she?" Chase snapped suddenly. "Who?" "You know damn well who," Chase growled. "Where is Sabrina?" He was shaking, angry shaking. "She told me she'd handle this. She told me Dad would never find out. Dad knew. Holy hell, Dad knew everything." "She lied," I said, voice steadier than I felt. Chase shot me a look that could have cut bone. "I'm gonna fix this," he said, pacing like a caged animal. "I'm gonna call the board, talk to the accountants, call Sabrina." "You're not calling her," I snapped. "She's been using you." "Shut up," he said instantly. "You don't know anything." My laugh was bitter. "Oh, really? I'm not the one who stole from sick kids because my mistress needed a weekend in Miami." His nostrils flared. "You think you're better than me?" he growled. "Dad thought so," I shot back, "and he was right." Hawthorne stepped in before Chase fully exploded. "This discussion needs to remain civil. Your father's instructions are legally binding." Chase turned on him. "This is all your fault. You poisoned him. You and your stupid legal manipulations." "Enough!" The word came out of me before I even registered that I had said it. Chase froze. I took one step towards him. "Dad didn't do this to punish you. He did this because you punished everyone around you." He glared at me. "Shut up." "You lied to me," I said, voice tighter. "You slept with my best friend, you stole from Dad's foundation, and you walked around acting like you were too good for the rest of us. You deserve every single consequence coming your way." Chase laughed, but it sounded empty. "So naive," he muttered. "So stupid." "No," I said. "Just done." Something dark flashed in his eyes. Something dangerous. "If you think I'm letting you waltz around in my house," he hissed, "you're delusional." "It's not your house," I said. "It never was." He stepped closer. Too close. I felt Hawthorne move beside me. But before anything else, Chase's phone rang. Loud. Piercing. The caller ID lit up. And I swear, for a second, I forgot how to breathe. Sabrina. I stared at the screen. So did Chase. He swallowed hard and answered. "Where are you?" he growled. His face changed, darkened, twisted. "What do you mean we have a problem?" Pause. His eyes widened. "What?" Another pause. Then, "What do you mean the FBI is looking for me?" My blood ran cold. Hawthorne swore under his breath. Chase's hand shook so hard the phone nearly slipped from his grip. Sabrina's voice was shrill enough that I could hear bits of it spilling through the speakers. "Told you, company account, they traced the transfers, Chase, they know—" Chase hissed, shut up, I'm handling it." He hung up abruptly and looked at us with eyes that no longer held arrogance, only terror. Hawthorne spoke quietly, voice grave. "Chase, what did you do?" Chase opened his mouth, closed it, and then whispered, "I didn't just steal 75 grand. My stomach dropped. "How much?" I thought the accounts were untraceable. I thought Sabrina handled it. She said she handled everything. She said it was clean. "How much?" I repeated, my voice trembling. Chase finally looked at me. His face broke. "Almost 3 million. My legs nearly fell out. 3 million. No wonder the FBI was involved. Hawthorne turned sheet white. "Chase, this is serious federal fraud." Chase grabbed his hair, tugging like he was tearing it out. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. She said she set it up. She said she handled everything." In that
The security guard burst into the conference room like a linebacker, out of breath, sweating, eyes darting like he wasn't sure which one of us to look at first. "Miss," he said, panting, "we have an incident at the estate." My heart lurched. "What kind of incident?" He hesitated, and that alone told me I didn't want the answer. "Your alarm system was triggered by a forced entry on the east wing door. Someone used an access code, actually, your access code." I went still. "That's impossible," I whispered. Hawthorne pinched the bridge of his nose. "Do you have any reason to believe someone else might know your code?" "Just one person. One very obvious, very dangerous, very manipulative person. Sabrina." Sabrina had been at the house dozens of times. Movie nights, sleepovers, weekends we spent hiding from our families, laughing until our stomachs hurt. And at some point, God, of course she did, she must have learned my security pin. "Is anyone still inside?" Hawthorne asked. The guard swallowed. "We don't know. Police are on their way, but the system shows the door opened and then shut. No exit record yet." Chase. It had to be Chase. Running from the FBI, heading straight home like an idiot, thinking he could grab whatever he needed and disappear. Or worse, it was Sabrina, coming to wipe the place clean and leave me holding the ashes. A shiver tore across my spine. "I need to go," I said, already moving. Hawthorne grabbed my arm. "Absolutely not. If your brother is involved and the FBI is coming, you cannot just walk into—" "I live there," I snapped. "Everything I own is there." But that wasn't the real reason. The real reason was worse. If Sabrina was desperate enough to break into my house, our house, she wasn't coming for money. She was coming for leverage. And Chase was spiraling. He was dangerous like this, cornered, paranoid, betrayed. I yanked free from Hawthorne and rushed out of the office. He followed, practically jogging behind me. "I am advising you, as your attorney, not to act impulsively." "I'm not acting impulsively," I lied. "I'm acting like someone whose life is being hijacked." We reached the lobby. 2 more security staff flanked the door. "Car's waiting," one said. Of course, Hawthorne had already called ahead. He was annoying like that. Responsible. Chase was the opposite. The car ride was a blur of red lights we didn't stop for, sirens in the distance, Hawthorne calling the police, then the FBI, leaving voicemails, escalating things in that lawyerly voice that sounded calm but was absolutely not calm. When we turned into the estate driveway, I felt my breath catch. 3 police cruisers, an unmarked black SUV, and, oh God, FBI jackets near the front door. I froze halfway down the walkway. "He's here," I whispered. "He might not be," Hawthorne replied softly. "Let them clear the house." But one of the agents spotted us immediately. "Are you the homeowner?" he asked. I nodded, numb. He motioned us forward. "We need to ask a few questions. Your brother's car was spotted leaving the property 20 minutes ago." My stomach dropped. "So he was here?" "Seems like it," the agent said. "We also have reason to believe he wasn't alone." Hawthorne stiffened beside me. "Meaning what?" The agent looked me dead in the eye. "Meaning the woman he's been working with entered the home with him." My chest tightened. "She's not working with him. She set him up." The agent raised an eyebrow. "That may be partly true, but right now, they were together." Together. My brain reeled. Sabrina came back for him? After screwing him over? No, not for him. For something else. Something here. The agent continued. "We're sweeping for evidence now, but ma'am, you should prepare yourself. The house looks ransacked." My heart cracked in two. The house mattered, because Dad had built it, because every inch of it had his fingerprints, because it was the last place I could feel him. And they tore through it. For what? What were they looking for? I whispered. The agent exchanged a glance with another officer. "We don't know yet. But I did. Or at least I had a theory. The will, the trust documents, the video. Something that protected me and condemned Chase. Sabrina had always been two-faced, but she wasn't stupid. If she knew these documents existed, she'd want them gone, erased, burned. Suddenly, the agent's radio crackled. We found something in the upstairs study. Dad's study. The one room that meant everything. I ran before anyone could stop me. Up the stairs, down the hall. My lungs burned, but I didn't slow down until I reached the doorway. The study was, God, destroyed. Books ripped out of shelves, desk drawers overturned, carpet shredded like someone used a knife. Dad's framed pictures smashed on the floor, his leather chair sliced open, stuffing spilling everywhere. But the worst part, the part that made me drop to my knees, was that the floor safe was open. Empty. Completely, horrifyingly empty. No, I gasped. No, no, no. Hawthorne rushed in behind me. What was in the safe? Dad's backup drive. The one he kept everything on. Emails, contracts, trust details, everything. Was the will on it? Not the will, but everything explaining the trust and the conditions. Every shred of proof that Dad knew about the theft, that Sabrina was involved. The agent knelt beside us. If your brother and this woman stole evidence, we'll track it. I shook my head. It's not about tracking it. It's about what they'll do with it next, Hawthorne finished grimly. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Another officer appeared in the doorway. We found a note. My stomach seized. A note? He handed it to me. A single sheet of paper, folded once. My name on the front. In handwriting I recognized instantly. Sabrina's. I unfolded it with shaking hands. The message was short, cruel, sickening. You weren't supposed to get the house. You weren't supposed to get anything. If Chase won't take back what's his, I will. My entire body went cold. Hawthorne took the paper from me. She's escalating. She's unhinged. But the agent shook his head. No, she's calculating. And then, as if timed for maximum psychological destruction, my phone buzzed. I looked down. An unknown number. A video message. Hawthorne's voice sharpened instantly. Do not open that. But it was too late. The preview image already showed a hotel room. A man sitting on the edge of a bed, hands shaking, eyes swollen from crying. Chase. And behind him, a glimpse of something red. Fabric, curtain, or blood. My heart stopped. The agents leaned in. Ma'am, we need to see that video. I tapped it. The video opened. Chase's voice came out low, ragged, trembling. I messed up so bad. He looked off camera, like someone was standing there, someone waiting, someone controlling him. I never meant it to get this far. I just wanted to win. Tears streamed down his face. I'm sorry, sis. A shadow moved behind him. Sabrina's silhouette, holding something. A phone? A weapon? I couldn't tell. And then the video cut to black. A single, final message appeared on the screen. Typed. Cold. Bring me what I want, or you'll lose him forever. My blood iced over. What she wants, the agent echoed. What does that mean? I looked towards the safe. The empty safe. The trust details, Hawthorne said slowly. She wants the rest of the inheritance protections. The agent's expression hardened. So she's using your brother as leverage. No. As bait. Sabrina wasn't trying to help Chase. She was using him as a shield. And she wanted everything Dad left me. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. A second message. Coordinates. An address. A deadline. Midnight. She wants me there tonight. Hawthorne's face drained of color. This is a trap. Of course it's a trap. But you're not going. I swallowed hard because the truth was, I was absolutely going. I had no choice. Because Sabrina had one thing I couldn't walk away from. My brother. My stupid, arrogant, selfish brother. But he was still my brother, and I wasn't losing him too. Not after losing Dad. Not because of her. I stood up, legs shaking. The agents exchanged looks. concern, strategy, calculation. And that's when the lead agent said quietly, "If you go, we're going with you. But understand this, I didn't sleep the night Mason handed me those USB drives. My mind kept replaying the last words he said before he walked out. You're not imagining things. Your brother's been playing you for years." I lay awake, staring at the ceiling of my apartment, my temporary exile, listening to the refrigerator hum in the dark like it was mocking me. Every few minutes, I checked the time on my phone, waiting for morning like it might bring clarity. It didn't, but it did bring resolve. By sunrise, I'd written a list on the back of a takeout menu. 1. Watch everything. 2. Verify everything. 3. Don't trust anyone, not even myself. I made coffee, extra strong, the kind that could sandblast a soul, and sat cross-legged on the floor in front of my laptop. I plugged in the first USB, the screen filled with folders, each labeled by date. Some went back over a decade. One folder was titled Richard plus Seth Illegal Transfers. Another read Banyan Real Estate Shells. And then Chloe Fixing Ledger. Chloe. For a second, I froze, my hand hovering over the mouse. I didn't want it to be her. Not her sleek smiles, not her "I'm here to help your family heal" tone, not her soft manicured hand that always rested just a little too long on Seth's arm. Not her. I braced myself and clicked. Inside the Chloe folder were spreadsheets, tax files, and audio recordings labeled with her initials. I clicked on the first recording. Her voice poured through my headphones, bright and melodic. "Seth, the account's clean. Your dad won't catch it, but your sister's becoming a problem." I felt my spine go cold. Seth's voice came through next, smooth, bored, like fraud was just another Tuesday for him. She always is. She's obsessed with fairness. It's pathetic. Just adjust whatever you need to so it looks like she's been taking extra from the charitable budgets. She won't question it. "Are you sure?" Chloe said. "She's not as don't as you think." Seth laughed. "Please, she's predictable. She wants to believe the world is good. She wants to believe Dad is good. She wants everything to line up neatly. Just make it messy and she'll think she screwed up. She always blames herself." My throat tightened. Chloe giggled. "God, you two siblings are so different." Seth, "Yeah, one of us was built for this life." Chloe, "And one of us wasn't." My stomach twisted. I paused the audio and pressed my palms over my eyes until I saw sparks. I didn't know if I wanted to scream or throw up. Maybe both. But I kept going. I had to. I clicked open the second audio file. This time, it was my father's voice. Older, but firm, commanding. "What do you mean the contracts don't match the ledger? That's impossible." Seth, "Dad, maybe you're not keeping up with everything anymore. Maybe it's time you let me handle the business." My father scoffed. "I built this damn company from scratch. Don't patronize me." "I'm not patronizing you," Seth said, his voice low, controlled, rehearsed. "I'm trying to protect you. Mistakes happen when people get older." I inhaled sharply. I wasn't prepared for the next part. "Father, if Avery saw this..." Seth cut him off. "Avery won't see it. She doesn't understand any of this anyway." Silence. Then a door slammed. My father muttered, "I should have had 2 daughters." I covered my mouth. That broke me more than Seth's betrayal, because maybe that was the moment everything shifted. Maybe that was why Seth framed me, why he hid everything, why he pushed me out of the company. Maybe he felt like he'd already lost. Maybe I truly never stood a chance. I pushed through 2 more folders until I found a set of videos recorded by security cameras from the Banyan warehouse, one of Dad's storage buildings tied to an old business deal. The footage was grainy, but clear enough. It was Seth loading boxes into a van at 2 a.m., boxes stamped with the Hastings Development seal.
Boxes I recognized from our charity distribution center. Boxes full of supplies meant for disaster relief efforts. He'd been stealing from our charity programs. Our charity, the one Dad was proudest of, the one I'd spearheaded, the one I thought was doing something good. I shook, hands trembling over the keyboard. I sat there for maybe 15 minutes, staring blankly at the frozen frame of Seth on the screen. For the first time in months, I couldn't think. I just felt betrayal, shame, rage, a kind of heartbreak that didn't have a fixed point. It just flooded everywhere at once. I grabbed the second USB, the one Mason had been hesitant to give me, the one he said I should only open if I was ready. I wasn't, but I plugged it in anyway. One folder, one file, a video, titled Will Revision Final. My pulse hammered. I clicked play. I saw my father sitting beside a lawyer in a room I didn't recognize. He looked tired, older than I remembered. His face was pale, his eyes cloudy, like he'd been injured or sick. A bruise on his temple suggested the fall that supposedly caused his death. But there was something else, something off. His voice cracked when he spoke. Avery, if you're watching this, it means Seth found this before you could. My pulse skipped. He swallowed hard and continued. He pressured me to change the will, threatened to expose mistakes he says I made, mistakes I never made. He forged documents. Chloe helped him. I clenched my jaw. I'm sorry, Dad said. I believed him when he said it was temporary, that he just wanted to ensure the company wasn't divided. I thought I was protecting you. I thought you'd forgive me. His voice broke. But he lied. He's using everything to cut you out. And if you try to fight him, he'll destroy you. He'll ruin the business. He'll ruin our name. My eyes stung. Don't trust him, Dad whispered. Don't trust Chloe. Don't trust anyone he brings near you. He coughed, leaning forward. I changed the will again, quietly. Mason helped me. I'm leaving everything to you. The house, the company, everything. Seth will fight you. He'll tear apart the world to stop this, but you're the only one I trust to carry our legacy. He looked straight into the camera, straight at me. I love you. I should have said that more. The video ended. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I felt like I'd swallowed a brick. I sat there frozen as a scream built in my chest, silent and violent. I'd begged for months for Seth to be honest, for Dad to trust me, for someone to believe me. And all this time, the truth was locked in a file I didn't have access to until Mason, God Mason, risked everything to bring it to me. I closed my laptop, grabbed my coat, and bolted for the door. I didn't even lock the apartment behind me. I drove straight to Mason's office. It was still early, 7:15 a.m., but the lights were on inside. When I burst in, Mason looked up from a pile of paperwork. Avery, he didn't finish because I walked straight to him and slammed my arms around him. I'm not a hugging person. He froze at first, stiff and startled. Then, slowly, he wrapped his arms around me. His voice dropped. So, you watched everything? Yeah, I whispered. All of it. And? I pulled back, wiping under my eyes. I want to burn him to the ground. Mason's lips twitched into the smallest smile. I thought you might say that. What do we do first? Expose him? Press charges? Go to the media? No, Mason said. First, we protect you. Then we strategize. Screw strategy. Avery. He set a gentle but firm hand on my shoulder. Listen to me. Your brother is smart, dangerous, and now he's desperate. He'll come after you if he even suspects you know. I swallowed hard. So what's the plan? We use his arrogance. We let him think he won. And then he tapped the stack of documents. We take back everything using Dad's final revision legally, publicly, devouringly. And Chloe? I asked, voice dropping. Her too, he said, but we need proof she committed fraud knowingly, not just by following orders, which means we need more, I finished. Mason nodded. There's one more person who can give us exactly what we need. Who? He looked at me carefully, hesitant. Your uncle. My stomach twisted. My uncle helped Seth move the inventory. He packed up the warehouse. He texted me when he kicked me out. He also hates your father, Mason said. He felt Dad never paid him fairly, so Seth bought his loyalty. But your uncle isn't loyal to Seth, he's loyal to money. I frowned. So what, we bribe him? We outbid your brother, Mason said simply. Offer him protection, a percentage of the recovered assets, whatever it takes. And if he says no, then we find someone else. But I'm telling you, he'll say yes. I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. Okay, then let's do it. Mason nodded, grabbed his keys, and stood. Let's go talk to him. Now? Now, he said. Every hour Seth thinks he's safe is an hour he slips. So we left. We drove across town to the industrial district where my uncle managed an old shipping facility. Mason parked the car and turned to me. You ready? No, I admitted. Good, means you're thinking clearly. We stepped inside the warehouse. My uncle was counting inventory near the loading dock.
By the time I pulled into the driveway of my childhood home that evening, the house Seth swore he'd inherit, I no longer felt fear. I felt clarity. Cold, sharp, surgical clarity. The kind that comes when someone pushes you so far you stop breaking and start sharpening. The house looked exactly the same as always. The white pillars, the wraparound porch, the manicured lawn that screamed old money perfection. But it felt different. It felt staged. Like everything inside was part of a performance that I was finally done pretending to applaud. Chloe's car was already parked out front, sleek, black, expensive, dramatic, fitting her personality to a T. I stepped inside without knocking. My heels clicked across the marble floor as I walked toward the dining room, where soft jazz played from the speakers. Seth was pouring wine when he looked up at me. For a moment, he froze. Surprise flickered in his eyes, then morphed into something more smug. "Well, look who crawled out of exile," he said, lifting the glass toward me. "Didn't expect you to show tonight." "You invited me," I replied, my voice steady. "And you don't usually take no for an answer." He smirked. "True." Chloe glided in from the kitchen, smiling the kind of smile that felt laminated. "Avery, you look lovely." I almost laughed. Her voice was honey, but her eyes were cold. Hypnotist cold. Con artist cold. "Thanks," I said. "You too." She wore a silk dress that probably cost more than my car. It clung to her like she was auditioning for the role of woman who ruins lives but looks great doing it. "Sit," Seth said, gesturing to the head of the table. "Dad's seat," I noted. "Yeah," he said casually. "I figured someone should take it." "Too soon?" I asked. His jaw tightened. A flicker of annoyance. Good. He hated losing control of the tone. We sat. Dinner was served by the house staff, people who used to smile warmly at me, now avoiding eye contact like they were scared of breaking some silent rule Seth enforced. Chloe filled our glasses with wine. "To family," she said. "To surviving," I answered. Her smile faltered for half a second. Seth chuckled. "Always dramatic, Avery," I said, picking up my fork. The first few minutes were small talk. Business, charity events, upcoming auctions, all the things Seth liked to flaunt to make himself seem important. But then he leaned back and crossed his arms, studying me like I was a puzzle he thought he'd already solved. "You've been quiet lately," he said. "Avoiding us." "Just been busy." "With what?" "You don't work for the company anymore." Ouch, direct hit. He wanted me off balance. He wanted me to feel small. "Not tonight, sweetheart." "Funny," I said, swirling my wine, "because I have a feeling I'll be working for the company again very soon." Seth blinked. Just once. Barely noticeable. But I caught it. Chloe stiffened, her hand tightening on her glass. I'd struck something. Seth laughed, but it sounded forced. "You think Dad's will is going to magically change in your favor now that he's gone? Sorry, but that ship sailed." "Did it?" I asked. He leaned forward. "What does that mean?" I met his gaze directly for the first time all night. "You tell me." That got him.
His expression shifted, subtle but clear, nervousness sliding beneath his confidence like a thin crack spreading across glass. "What exactly are you implying?" he asked. "Nothing," I said lightly. "Just seems like you're very sure of things you shouldn't be so sure about." Chloe cleared her throat. "Avery, maybe you misunderstood something. Seth is just trying to—" "Chloe!" I interrupted. "You should probably stop talking before you accidentally confess to something." Her face drained a shade. Seth sat up straighter. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" "Relax," I said. "I came here to eat dinner, not start a fight." The air tightened, like the house itself was holding its breath. I let them sit in that uneasy silence for a moment before changing the subject. "How's work been?" "Fine. Busy. Trying to clean up Dad's, disorganization." I almost choked, but I kept myself composed. "Must be hard managing a company you didn't build." He glared. "Must be hard watching from the sidelines." "Not really," I said. "I've always preferred a better view." Before he could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, frowned, then silenced it. "Something wrong?" I asked. "Just work." "Ah." My tone dripped syrupy sweetness. "One of your shell companies? One of your late-night warehouse deliveries?" His hand froze over his glass. Chloe's breath hitched. I didn't blink. I didn't smile. I didn't move. I wanted them to know something was off. I wanted paranoia to start eating them alive from the inside. Seth finally spoke. "What exactly have you been doing the last few weeks?" I leaned back, shrugging casually. "Just watching." His jaw ticked. "Watching what?" "Everything." Chloe stood up abruptly. I'm going to get dessert." She practically fled to the kitchen. "Good. Let her sweat." Seth waited until she was gone, then slammed his fist on the table. The wine glasses shook. "Cut the crap, Avery. What are you up to?" I didn't flinch. Not an inch. "What I should have done a long time ago," I said calmly, "taking back what's mine." He stared at me, eyes dark and calculating. "You don't know anything." "I know enough." He leaned back slowly, lips curling into a dangerous smile. "No, you think you know something. That's your problem, Avery. You always think you see the whole picture, but you don't." "Try me," I whispered. His smile widened. "Dad didn't trust you, Avery. He never did. That's why he put everything in my name. House, business, assets. Everything. Because you weren't cut out for any of it." "Sure," I said. "Keep telling yourself that." "It's true," he snapped. "You were always too emotional, too naive, too soft. Dad knew I was the only one strong enough to carry the company. He also knew you were unethical. He knew you'd burn the company to the ground for your ego." "Bullshit." "Is it?" I leaned forward, mirroring the posture he used to intimidate others. "Tell me, Seth, does the company know you've been funding your little side ventures using charity funds?" His face went white, then red, then something darker. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" "No." "Okay." I shrugged again. "Just seems like you're very sure of things you shouldn't be so sure about." Chloe returned with dessert. Creme brulee with gold flakes, 'cause of course it was, and set them on the table with visibly shaking hands. "Everything all right?" she asked, looking between us. "Peachy," Seth said tightly. "Things are just getting interesting." "Mm-hmm," I said, breaking the sugar on top of my dessert with the back of my spoon. "Very interesting." The three of us ate in a silence thick as the house itself. Then, when the plates were cleared, Seth stood and crossed his arms. "Tell me what you're planning." "No," I said. "You don't get to know." "Why are you being like this?" he asked, frustration cracking through his voice. "Why are you pushing?" "Because you pushed first." He scoffed. "This isn't a game, Avery." "No," I said quietly. "It's a war, and you fired the first shot." His jaw clenched so tightly, I thought something might snap. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." "I do, because I watched the videos." He froze. Completely, absolutely, utterly, still. Then just barely, he whispered, "What did you just say?" I didn't blink. "I said I watched the videos." His face drained. "What videos?" "You know which ones." His hand shook. "No, you're bluffing." "Am I?" His entire body got rigid. "Avery, if you saw something, anything, you need to forget it." I laughed. Actually laughed. A sharp, humorless sound that bounced off the dining room walls. "I'm done forgetting." "Avery, and I'm done being afraid of you." Silence filled the room so loudly, it felt physical. Chloe looked between us, panicking. "Seth, what videos?" "Shut up, Chloe," he hissed. "You didn't tell me there were videos," she said, her voice cracking. "I thought everything was deleted." "I said shut up," Seth snapped. But she kept talking, hysterical now. "You told me the transfers were hidden. You told me the warehouse cameras were wiped. You said—" "Chloe!" He roared. She slapped a hand over her mouth too late. My eyes widened, slow and deliberate. "Oh," I said softly, "so you did know." Her face crumpled. "Avery, listen, save it," I said. "Save it for the board, or the police, whichever comes first." Chloe burst into tears. Not fake tears, real ones, because the walls were closing in. Seth looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time in his life, like he didn't know what to do now that I wasn't cowering.
The silence after my yes didn't last long. Austin blinked. Once, twice, like he genuinely believed this was all still a game he controlled. "Good," he said, smoothing his shirt as if the fight had already been won. "Now go pack my things. I'm leaving tonight." I stared at him. "You're leaving?" I repeated. He sighed, annoyed. "I told you, I made a mistake with Elisa. It's over. But I need time, space. Maybe we can revisit us in a year." A year. That was it. Not the betrayal, not the lies, not even the 2-year affair with a woman who was practically a clone of me, just younger. What broke me was how small he thought I was. I stood. "Okay." He smirked and headed to the closet, assuming I'd follow. I didn't. Instead, I walked calmly to the living room, picked up my phone, and typed 3 words. "It's time. Come." 10 minutes later, the elevator dinged. Austin peeked around the corner. "Who is—" The door opened, and 4 people stepped inside. My lawyer, my accountant, a security officer, and the building manager. Austin's face drained of color. "What is this?" My lawyer spoke first. "Mr. Hale, per the documents signed at the beginning of your marriage, you have 30 minutes to vacate this property." "What documents?" he snapped. "The marital agreement you insisted on," I said quietly. "The one where you said you wanted everything clean and uncomplicated if we ever split. You never had money then." "I do now." I opened my laptop and turned it toward him, showing him the finalized acquisition agreement. My tech startup, the one he mocked, had just been bought for $48 million. Austin grabbed the back of a chair to steady himself. You're lying." My accountant placed a folder on the table. "The transfer cleared this morning." The building manager added, "We'll escort you down when you're ready." Austin looked around the apartment, our home, realizing it had slipped from his hands. "You can't do this," he whispered. I stepped closer. "You said you could do better than me," I reminded him softly. "Now you have the chance." He shook his head violently. "I didn't mean it! I was angry! I didn't know! Please don't—" But his words were collapsing under their own weight.
He lunged toward me like he could rewrite the past by grabbing my wrist. Security stepped in immediately. "Sir, please don't touch her." Austin froze, chest heaving. For a long, long moment, we just stared at each other. All the years, all the effort, all the blind loyalty dissolved. "Goodbye, Austin." He didn't fight again. He packed in silence. When the door finally closed behind him, the apartment felt too quiet, too big, too empty. And yet, for the first time, it felt mine. I walked to the window, watching the city lights shimmer like a promise. My phone buzzed. A message from my lawyer. "Everything is officially yours. Congratulations." And another from an unknown number. "I heard what happened. I'm proud of you." It was from Elisa, the woman he'd chosen over me. But her message wasn't gloating. It was relieved, heartbroken, a confession typed in a trembling hand. He lied to me too. I turned off my phone. Tonight wasn't about her or him. Tonight was about the person I finally became the moment he walked out. A woman who stopped waiting to be chosen and chose herself instead.